Hey everybody, welcome back to ChampnSons, and we are here with our racing series in the NASCAR Truck Series at Kansas Speedway for the Digital Ally 250, or maybe it's supposed to be Digital Ally. That's what we're rolling with. The 250 here, it is, like I said, at Kansas Motor Speedway. Now this is just a speedway track, it's not a super speedway. So our truck is set up slightly different than it was for the Daytona race. And it's more of the same setup we had at Texas. I will say we are running a pretty good clip here. And, you know, one of the things about this race, and really this track that I like, is how wide it really is. It does create a lot of 3 wide racing, sometimes even going 4 wide, because you can get down in the bottom level right here around this front end of the track. So it does also allow for pretty good speed, but we will have to be careful, make sure we don't get too loose coming out of these turns or in the middle of them and go sliding up into the wall. So this is just our qualifying lap right here, trying to set a pretty good pace. Now our truck is still, for the engine, is still only at a 90 power. So we're not full blown yet, but I think, you know, we can still put up pretty good showings here at the speedways. One thing about these tracks also is that you tend to run into lap traffic, and that can actually work to our advantage, I think, in the end. Now for the qualifying time, we come in about 1/10 of a second slower than our goal. That puts us in at 17th starting on the track, assuming that nobody has any type of technical problems and has to be moved to the back coming out of this front group up there that's ahead of us. So this is, I like the odd numbers because it starts you out on the inside versus the outside, but I would have definitely preferred a top 10. And looking at that, Stewart, Friesen, Sauter, Enfinger, and Creed will round out the top 4 with Smith, Gilliland, X, Moffitt, and Crafton's rounding out the rest of the top 10. So pretty tough racers ahead of us. It's one of these things that we're going to have to get used to. Fighting off some of these tough guys. We are going to have to learn how to basically try to become friends with them so we can draft off of them, and whenever they draft off us, they actually give us a pretty decent push. So we'll have to take a look at that as we go throughout these seasons, see which ones we're going to be buddies with, which ones we're going to try to piss off every now and then, just see how that goes. Now we are under the green flag here to get this one started in stage 1. It is a grand total of 19 laps, but as y'all know, we only show basically a few laps, so you don't have to hold on for the entire race. We are doing 50% races here in the truck series, so you know, it's a pretty good clip, pretty good amount of laps, gives us an opportunity to make some moves, and we'll have to start doing that pretty much immediately. Coming in around these turn 3 and 4, we've already moved up to P16 here. Well, that's actually kind of where we started because the guy had to move to the back. But trying to find some space and find somebody to draft off of coming in at the bottom of this first lap here, and unable to do it so far, but we are kind of fighting for that 15th spot as we push Decker into the middle, and that's going to give us a chance to go down and under and actually pick up a couple different spots. Now we only have Cobb in front of us and then the massive pile or group of cars that are remaining right there that we are going to have to try to chase and catch coming into this for the remainder of this stage 1. Now coming in and around turns 3 and 4, we set a pretty good pace. As this race goes and our tires get a little bit worn down, we're going to have to be careful about that and watch how we use our tires, how worn down they are, and try to make them last long enough so we can keep grip on this road. So after that, we come into the third lap, still in P13, pushing for a P12, trying to get around Cobb on the inside. They are holding pretty well to the outside. We got our line fairly evenly matched, but we do squeeze down and get the 12th spot coming up on Moffitt there in P11. Now we actually give him a little tap, not what I was intending to do, but he blocked down pretty low kind of late, so we were unable to check up, and we do give him a little bump on his bumper after coming into the end of that third lap there in P12 position. And now we cut down in front of him. We got a pretty good run here. I think we definitely have a top 10 car, but it is going to take some skillful driving coming around for the remainder of this stage to try to squeeze that in here and get a pretty good finish and get some points. That's going to be our biggest thing coming into turns 3 and 4, trying to catch up to Zane Smith in front of us. who's taking the high side. We're remaining down low where a lot of the other cars are coming, hoping to get a little bit of push from behind us, but not yet. And finally they jump on behind us. Herbst gives us a little nudge there. Now a little later here in the stage, we got about 3 laps remaining. We are still in P11, but Spencer Boyd is the car in truck in P12 or P10 in front of us that we are trying to catch. Anytime we can get an opportunity for some points, we definitely need to take advantage of it and try to squeeze something out. But we have a couple laps now. Boyd is sticking to the high side. We get pretty good runs coming around turns 3 and 4, remaining down low. And so that's probably where we're going to try to stick most of ourselves to the track. Now you'll see a lot of these cars have kind of spread out, at least in the front side. And if you look at the little map down on the left side, the leader does have, I think that's Infinger, does have about a half lap lead on us, but we are coming into lap traffic. This is what I mentioned before. Having these lap cars, you know, if you start going too wide, where are they going to go? If we can guess right and basically get them to block the CPU, we can actually make some space for us and get around some of these guys and possibly advance our position. Lassard coming in at 32nd. Boyd gets around him pretty easy, so we stick to the middle and just go around to Lassard's outside there on this final lap of stage number 1 in P11. But look at that, Boyd slid up top, and there is another car up there, and Boyd is going to have to check up on that one as we try to catch up to him. Use the fact he's got to go slow. Now we're going to have to dive down underneath and try to beat him to the punches. We actually do get underneath him here, coming around turns 3 and into turn number 4 as we have cleared Boyd out and taken over P10. Boyd is still right on our bumper though. Hopefully we can just keep him off and give us that last little push in and as across the finish line for stage number 1. P10, we get 1 point. It's better than none. All right, so we will take that as we can get it. And that's going to lead us here to get ready for stage number 2. Our tires are doing okay. My right front one is a little worn down. That does kind of make me nervous here coming into stage number 2. We're going to have to hope that tire kind of holds out pretty well, but we'll have to see what we do. We might have to change how we drive, stick a little bit more to the middle of the track coming around these turns instead of diving down low, but we'll see. So stage 2, we are green and we are in P10. Ross Chastain is riding right next to us in the P9 spot. Creed is in front of us in P8. Now we come into turn number 1. Boyd tries to get a run, but we dive down and block him off. He's still going to try to push it on that inside route, but we keep him blocked off pretty well, which is pretty smooth driving on our part. As we come around the back straightaway here, still in P10, trying to get some separation from Boyd to get him off our tail and sling it in down low, but we slide up a little bit on Chastain there in P9 as we do actually edge him out, but man, we got to watch that with our tires. Now Creed is going to be right in front of us there in P8. He pushes us to the bottom of the curtain here, coming around the front part, and luckily it's not that dipped and we can actually go down without too much damage to our tires or the truck. So 1 lap completed, we have moved up into P9 now, with Boyd right on us trying to give us a little push for the draft. But I'll tell you this, Boyd is not really that much of a friend with us. He's not drafting to help us push. He's just drafting to try to get himself caught up and give us a little bit of a position point to where he can get us past. So around here on lap number 2, we come out of turn 4, come around this front little tri-oval portion, still in P8 now, actually moved up a spot. And Boyd's still giving us a little bit of a push from behind as we come into turns 1 and 2. But as you see, we have to slide up the track a little bit. But Boyd does go with us to kind of help us kind of shove off. And you can see he's edging for that inside route. Boyd is edging to make that pass. We are going to have to be battling with him, it looks like, to try to keep him off our tail from getting in front of us. But he is sticking right there with us coming around turn 4 into these front little sections. We are still in P8, and that front group looks to be escaping a little bit quicker than what we were hoping. Trying to team up to catch up with them and trying to get ourselves a little push across, a little additional extra miles per hour of speed. Now sticking with Boyd in the draft position, he does kind of hit our bumper a little hard at times. But it keeps us at least keeping pace with about the numbers 6 and 7 guys out there in front of us, which looks like Austin Hill right there in front, along with Friesen and all that. So coming around here to finish up lap number 3 in stage number 2. 3 of 17 are now complete. And now we're going to advance on up to lap number 15. This time Ross Chastain is behind us, and we have dropped to the P10 position. Chastain trying to get a push and get around us. That is all he's doing. You see, that's why he's doing that little zigzagging as soon as we come out of a turn. And I'm trying to drag him up the track so we can dive back down to the bottom. Our tires are starting to get a little worn, so holding onto the bottom of this track is becoming a little bit more difficult as we try to get past Creed for the P9 spot. So here we come around for lap number 15 has been completed. We got 2 more laps remaining in this stage. Chastain tries to go low to get around us. We block him, but he stays on our tail and hopefully gives us that little bit of push we need to get past Creed. Coming around turn 2 onto the back straightaway, he is still pushing us. Creed maintaining his line up high. We have been able to kind of maintain being down low, but sometimes it gets a little loose from us on these back section turns, turns 3 and 4, and we slide a little bit, so we do have to kind of take more of a middle track pattern on those turns as we come around to this front stretch here and cross the finish line for the final lap of stage number 2, lap 17. Chastain dives down below. We block him one more time. Now we got a little bit of a run on Creed, looking for P9 here down low on the bottom of turns 1 and 2, coming out onto the back straightaway. We've got P9, but only for a second as Creed makes a push and takes it right back from us. And here we are coming into turns 3 and 4. Now we've retaken P9 from Creed, coming on here to the front section. Chastain coming up behind us to give us a little bit of a pump. Creed finished up, taking number 9 right back from him, and we'll finish in the 10th spot once again. Stage 2 completed in P10. Now, one thing that we have done is we have upped our pit lane game. So sometimes it's effective, sometimes not so much. Everybody else is pitting, so we are going to go ahead and pit as well. Our tires are not in that bad a shape, but I want to go ahead and get them prepared for this final stage that we have here in Kansas, and this is going to be a big one. So here we come out in P number 24, having dropped quite a few spots in this one. Coming into lap number 42 to be completed out of 84, halfway there. As we start stage number 3 in P24, we're going to have to be careful with making our way to the front. We can't let that front group get too far separated from us too quick, but we also got to watch out. These cars are a little slower, and we cannot be bumping into them that violently and mess up our front end. That'll throw our whole aerodynamics completely off. Now diving down low in front of Fogelman, push him into the middle and making it 3 wide racing as he does back off, and we're able to kind of advance front all the way already to P20 here. As we come around this first lap of stage number 3. Right behind Majeski in the 19th spot. We're going to turn it out wide and try to get used to diving into these turns to make it a little bit smoother as we come around and pass Majeski on the outside. Anderson is in front of him. As we come out of turn number 2, Majeski stays to our inside and keeps his position, but we go down and kind of push him out of the way and dive under Anderson. Along with Decker going high, it looks like Cobb right in front of Decker there. As we come into turns 3 and 4 on the low side, trying to beat him around these corners. As we get right here, coming up to the finish line of lap number 2, passing by and going into P number 18 spot, still P17 now. We just got past Decker coming into turns 1. Now we got Cobb in our sights. She's going up high, so we're staying down low, coming out of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway. And we are now P16 here in this race. But you see that leader group all the way up there starting to separate. We're going to have to catch up pretty quickly and try to make a little splash here if we can, just to try to have some space in this race going. Now in P16, taking on Crafton with Moffitt right in front of him, trying to catch up to Moffitt's draft and use him to pull us around a little bit. And we do get a pretty good run. Moffitt going to go down low to try to block us on turn 1, pushes us into the curtain, but we hold it. And we actually are able to maintain and take over P14 for now, coming onto the back straightaway. Looking at Dean in number 13 spot, that's our next target that we got to take out here, coming into turns 3 and 4. Coming into turn 3, we clear Moffitt. We got Dean right in front of us. We're going to catch onto the draft of Dean and get him to pull us with a little bit of extra pace to our little extra hitch to our giddy up, if you know what I mean. Now here we are later in stage 3, coming into the final about 4 laps of this race, as we are still in the P11 spot. Everybody has kind of separated out. Creed is in front of us in P10. And so we're going to have to work to get around Creed, looking to try to get a top 10 finish here. This would be a big one for us. Now we come down low here in lap number 81 of 84. P11 still, we are catching up very slowly though. But we are also coming into that lap traffic I mentioned before, and that's hopefully we can use that to help hold some of these other guys up. As we swing out wide and dive it back down low before Creed can, that's going to keep him outside, and he's behind Lassard as we continue to push forward and take over P10 here. In these final couple laps, Creed got stuck behind Lassard coming around turns 1 and 2, and that gave us a little bit of freedom, and now we're making some space between them. Coming up on Greenfield in 30th place, going to lap him once again, put him more down than what he was before. So lap 82 out of 84 has been completed. We are in P10. This group has kind of separated out. The leader all the way on the back straightaway right now as we come into turn 1. So I don't think we're going to be able to catch Infinger coming around turn 1. Now look at that. Our tires are coming low. I told y'all I needed new tires, and this is exactly why. We're already at 20%. I need these things to hold up for another lap and a half. That's all I need, just a lap and a half, and then we can make this thing work. We can make it happen. But we have to continue to push here. As we come around lap 83, Harmon's in front of us. He does kind of slow us up because he actually blocks us coming around. He actually puts on a block, so we have to zigzag our way around him down to the inside here with that busted right front tire running down low. Needing to make space between us and Creed. He can catch us. He is gaining pace right now as we get on the back straightaway. And I can see him coming real quick. This is the final lap. Our tires holding off at 17%. Needed to just keep around this final about a mile of this track as we come into turns 3 and 4 coming out of them. Still in P10, so we will claim a top 10 spot here. That is exactly what we wanted to see. Lap 84 completed, top 10. That's a good way to finish this race from where we were. So 10 spots. It gives us a little bit of points. It's not anything major as far as points go, but hey, it is something. And, you know, we ran about as good of a race as we could hope to have run. We really did not have the best car out here. We need to get our engine and our aerodynamics kind of amped up a little bit. Our tire wear was a little off, so we're going to have to keep a watch on that as we go forward. Now we're going to advance a couple races here to Chicago. Chicagoland Speedway, another speedway track, which we have upped our engine power to 95 coming into this one. And so it should give us a little extra pace coming around these turns. We still have to upgrade our aero package. That's all still sitting at 90, and same thing with our suspension. But at least our engine is at 95, which hopefully should give us a little bit more speed than what we have been having coming out of these races, especially at these speedways, where we're not getting the best draft patterns or draft partners either to kind of push and pull around this track. So here we are on the qualifying lap. We just get the one lap to go, and this is a big one. Our target is 33.962 seconds, and so far we've come pretty close to our targets. We haven't actually, met them yet, but we have been close. In this track, I think with the way we have upgraded our engine package, we should be able to kind of pull this one off and actually meet our goal as we get close to that 30-second mark coming around this front little tri-oval section, as we are going to be able to cross just barely in front of our goal by 0.2 of a second, and that's good enough to give us 11th place. So we're almost in the top 10. So this is going to take some tricky driving going forward, but a lot of these guys are right close into us on the timing. So we can make moves. We just got to be smart about how we do it. Ross Chastain is a pole winner for this race, about well over a second ahead of us. So he'll be really hard to catch on that one. Now Stuart Friesen, he qualified up early up front, but as you can see, failed his pre-race inspection, and he is going to be starting at the very back of this race. He had a pretty good car coming into it, about a second ahead of us, but you fail that pre-race inspection, you're going to the very back just like he is. Now we are under green flag here at Chicagoland Speedway as we take the cross the finish line to start the first lap here in P11, and we are going to be driving this one aggressively. I think we got a lot better car than even the 11th place qualifying spot we got. So we're going to try to push the limits of what we can do, as we are right here behind Zane Smith, already moving up into the 10 spot. Now we dive it down low. It looks like we're going to be trying to go 3 wide racing here into turns number 3 and 4. Decker in the middle. He gets pushed back. Gilliland. We dive under Gilliland as well and push him up to the top of the mid point of the track, as we gain all the way to P6 right behind Moffitt, and we block him from coming down low on that turn. And he's going to slip back to P5, and here comes Austin Hill trying to block us unsuccessfully. Chastain gets down low, and we ram his bumper. Not what I was intending to do. But we have moved into P4 as we hit the bottom curtain there, and that's going to slow us up a little bit. As Austin Hill comes and starts to edge us out, he does take the middle path, though. That's not what you really want to be at, as we're able to get past both of him thanks to the Hill trying to come up around between us. So now we are in P3. We have already moved up here. We're a couple laps in, and we've already moved up basically what amounts to 8 spots here, being in P3. This is a good spot to be in, but the leaders are taking off on us. Zane Smith is keeping right on our tail. Hopefully Smith will decide to draft with us and kind of give us a push. We got to catch Sauter before we can even catch Enfinger up there. But that's going to be the biggest thing. Enfinger's already a second ahead of us. Sauter's only half a second. But if Smith was smart, Smith would get on our become a draft partner for us and help us both catch Sauter in the number 2 spot. But Smith says, screw you, I'm going to try to go around you on the outside. And he's able to hold it, and he does clear us coming into turn 1 for P4, but he's a little high on the track. And now here comes Anderson, who's going to give us a little bit of a nudge here to try to get us past Smith, but unable to right now, as Smith just takes off on that line that he's got. As we remain near the bottom, trying to prevent Anderson from getting in front of us, but he stays right behind us on our drafting section. And we come around turns 3 and 4 into this front section, still in P4 on this race. Now here we are at the back end of stage number 1. We have advanced up to P number 2. A lot of lap traffic has helped us get there. Enfinger is in front of us, and this is going to be a tough one to try to get around. We are sitting in his draft pattern. He does have, I would say, a better car than us, but we got to be careful with it. Now we dive down low and try to beat him to the punch, but he holds us off, still taking that middle path. And he's going to hold us off here on lap number 15 out of the 17 for stage number 1 as we come across the finish line with 2 more laps remaining here in stage 1, riding in second place. Now Enfinger dives down low. We go up top, except we lose control and hit off the wall slightly. Anderson comes up from behind, and he taps our bumper and kind of almost spins us. Now we go running into his side just as a little bit of payback to kind of say, hey, we are here, you idiot. A little more damage to the car than I was wanting to, but hopefully shouldn't do too much to it. Anderson does get past us here on the backside of lap number 16, and he gets into the P3 spot. Now we're following close to Anderson, hoping we can get him caught behind some of this traffic. As we dive down low, coming into turn number 1, and we are going to take over P2 from him, but once again, our tires are starting to get a little bald, and we slide up the track into Anderson. Now I see the lap traffic right there, so I'm trying to keep Anderson pinned up top. Maybe we can get him stuck behind Self. As we come into turn number 3, and we will shoot down low, and they had a wreck, but since we were already on the last lap, they gone ahead and just call it where we were. Enfinger will take P1. We will take P2, which is a good place to give us an extra good chunk of points here, a chunk of stage points after this one. Now our right front is at 63%. The others are in the mid-70s, with their left rear being at low 80s. So we are going to stay out for this next section. Now the way I slid up into that wall, that's going to be kind of tough, and it does mess with our tires a little bit doing that. But I think if we can get a good start here, as we get ready to go green, we can get a good start. We can try to get some separation at least and maintain a pretty good pace around this track and a good line, and not really have anybody get past us as we are starting section 2 or stage 2. We have jumped out to the lead on Enfinger. We got a good jump on him as we kind of bumped him a little bit coming around, hoping that would make him slow up some, but not too much, as we do take over the P1 position coming out of turns 2 and 3, or coming out of turns 1 and 2 onto the back straightaway. Now we come into turns 3 and 4, still in P1. Enfinger is right there behind us. You can see him in the little mirror there, trying to find a way to put a push on us and take back over that number 1 spot. So 1 lap in, maintaining the P1 position. Now it's just purely defensive. Keep our pace, but we have to be defensive at this point. We have got a group of cars chomping at the bit to come and get us and to knock us out of this spot. So holding on, here's the biggest thing, and you can see that group's kind of dropping off. We've taken a really good line in this one, and they're starting to go 2 and 3 wide around these turns, which is actually going to slow them up a little bit and allow us to have at least some separation. We're at about a half second of separation, so it's not that much. It's something they can easily close the gap in less than a lap. But after 2 laps completed, we are maintaining P1 position. And that is a big thing for us. As you see, Friesen is just 0.2 of a second back. Infinger less than a half second. Zane Smith right exactly at 0.5 seconds behind us. So they are right on our tail. This is a blink of an eye, and they are in front of you. Coming into turns 3 and 4, we will maintain. Friesen is waiting to make his move. He is just waiting to make his move. We're going to have to be creative with how we block him. That's just how it's going to have to be. Now a little later here in stage 2, as we advance on up in the final 2 laps, we have dropped down to P3. Friesen did catch us. Zane Smith has caught us. So this is a tough race. You know, these guys have got some great cars in front of us. But we are at least maintaining P3 position as we come around for these final laps of stage number 2, fighting off with the lap traffic coming up in front of us. And that's kind of going to be one of the biggest things, I have a feeling, coming around later. And something in these speedways we've got to learn how to use them to our advantage. As we do draw Lassard up top of the track there, but that means we don't get that good of an angle coming into turns 1 and 2, and we slide up a little bit higher than we wanted. We lost a lot of speed coming out of that turn, and that's going to allow Anderson to come up quickly on our tail. As we drop down to low for the bottom of turn 3 and 4, Anderson bumps off one of the lap cars just to maintain on our bumper, and he's going to hit us actually pretty hard coming into this final little section as we try to finish off stage number 2 in a P3 spot, and we do. We claim P3 for stage number 2, and that was a big one for us. That's going to get us 8 stage points. That was a great finish coming around. I wish we had maintained the P1 spot, but yeah, I'll take P3 right now. That puts us in prime starting position when we come back out. Now we are going to have to pit for our tires here, okay? And we actually move up into the P1 position thanks to our pit crew. They were quick, they were efficient, and they were accurate. And we are in P1 as this green flag has dropped for the final stage of this race here in Chicagoland Motor Speedway. As we jump out and maintain our P1 spot with Smith sitting right there in P2, Friesen coming up in P3. And it's going to try to give us a little bit of push around. Hopefully we can fight them all off. Now we do have brand new tires out. Our car damage has been repaired some, and that gives us a pretty dang good jump coming onto this back straightaway here, back end of Chicagoland. As we come into turns 3 and 4, Friesen is making a push. Now if he was smart, he would just sit there and draft with us, and we'd both go sailing past everybody and make a lot of good space between us before we could really do battle. But he kind of just tries to shove us out of the way, and he's looking to pass. That's all he's caring about as we take the lead 1 lap into this thing. And he dives down low and hits our back bumper. We try to block him, unable to do it. Friesen just squeezes right past us coming out of turn 2 and on the back stretch. He is going to be in the first place. We have dropped down to P number 2 now, and here comes Zane Smith right here on our tail as we catch up to Friesen. And that's going to be the biggest thing. Whose draft is going to help us the most? Will Zane Smith help us with the push, or can we maintain Friesen from behind? But it looks like he is just sailing on out of here. This Infinger is going to come up and give us a push from behind. Now, with these tires, we can maintain being down low. It's not the best strategy, I don't think, in the world. But we definitely can maintain being right here. We just got to try to make sure to keep that push, and we almost go sideways because the Infinger hits us in our back bumper, but we do hold on to it. However, we slow up quite a bit, and Smith squeezes past us on the outside. Infinger giving us a little bit of a push. He kind of messed up our back bumper right there. Smith coming down for the block. So after another lap, we've dropped all the way back down to P3 now. Infinger tries to turn us sideways again, and we're going to lose a lot of speed. Thankfully, Anderson took a pretty poor line. Infinger sticking right on our tail is going to give us a little bit of push. But he's starting to look like he's going to spin us out if he has to try to get around us. Now holding on to the P3 spot, Enfinger trying to give us a little shove up into Zane Smith. And that's going to be a tough one to catch. We have a lot of laps to do it. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of racing left here at Chicagoland, but it's definitely a close one. Now we're going to advance up around 30 laps to lap number 67 as we are still in P3. Things have gotten a little hectic as we have come out into the lap traffic once again. Our tires are wearing down. This is the end of stage number 3. Our right front is at 38%. So we're having to be a lot more careful coming up around these turns. And it looks like a wreck has happened behind us. They are going to call the caution flag here, and that's actually what we needed. We've had pretty good starts off the green flag in this race so far, and I think we might be able to try to make something happen coming in here to these final laps. So sitting there in P3, Smith is in P1, Friesen is in P2, we're in P3, Enfinger in P4, Anderson in P5. Now the green flag has dropped. We are out there trying to make a push up on Smith. And we're going to dive down below Smith and try to trap him in the middle. And we actually do for the most part, but he gets past Friesen. Then Enfinger drops down low to hopefully give us a push past Smith into the P1 spot. Fighting and battling for the P1 position. Smith gets past us. Enfinger finally catches up on our draft as we come into the bottoms of turn 3 and 4 here, lap 71 of 75. And we are racing for the lead. Coming around into this front little tri-oval section. Anderson's now going to try to team up with us and try to hopefully give us that last little push. 4 laps remaining actually, here at Chicagoland as we take into turn 1 and 2. We slide up a little high. Anderson comes down low, and he is actually going to get past us. That tire is becoming an issue. Now I do tap Anderson's bumper just slightly, just because he pissed me off earlier in the race, and that causes him to move up and actually prevent him from coming down low. Friesen, however, just ramming us for the draft position, hits us from behind and gives us a good little shove. Smith trying to break away from us here with 3 laps remaining at Chicago. As we come around into turns number 1 and 2, Friesen is hot on our tail. 3 laps remaining. We got to take a good line here as we try to pull in behind Smith and get some separation and limit those that we got to fight off. So Smith is maintaining the high line through 1 and 2. They dive down low into turns 3 and 4, which actually is going to block us right here as we have only a couple laps remaining. Friesen is behind us still in the P3 spot. We are in P2. Smith is leading. 2 laps are remaining. Smith starts to drift back up, and we've dived down low once again, trying to get around him, and we've taken over P1 for now. But once we start sliding back up this damn turn on 1 and 2, and that's going to slow us up, and Smith takes back over the lead spot here at Chicago. 74 of 75 laps is what we are on as we dive down once again to try to claim P1. We're fighting for the win here coming to the end of this race. Friesen, hopefully he catches up and gives us that bump, that little push, and he is going to draft on us. As we come around for the final lap, the white flag has waved. He gives us a shove past Smith. Sticking to our line on the track, we get a little bit of a run, and we've got P number 1. Coming around turns 1 and 2, we are in P1. Friesen and Smith behind us. Now it's just pure blocking. 1 lap is all we need. 1 lap of perfect driving, perfect blocking, and we can claim our first victory here in the Truck Series. Coming into turns 3 and 4, Friesen dives down low, but we have to block him. Coming out of turn 4, Smith goes high. We slide up the track and shoot right back down below to stop Friesen, and we cross the line in P1. We've won here at Camping World 225, the Chicagoland Motor Speedway, taking first place, our first win of the NASCAR Truck Series. That was a hell of a finish. Friesen gave us that shove to the front to get past Smith, but then we had to hold them off, and that was a battle, ladies and gentlemen, to keep them behind us, sliding up and down the track, defending high and low, to claim our first victory here. And what a good one it was. Our first trophy case, Camping World 225, Chicagoland. Now we're going to have to start trying to win here every single time. Kind of keep our name going for ourselves here. So this was a big one for us, a great finish and a great race. We did that one very well, qualifying in 11th, moving up, to first coming into the start of the third stage. Great pit stop there after stage 2. And that's really what kind of was one of the difference makers for us. Now, on that note, we are going to continue this season as we get closer to the playoffs for the Truck Series. And hopefully with this win, that'll kind of give us a shove in the right direction and some good amount of money to continue to develop our team and our car. So on that note, definitely stay tuned for that and join us for the next episode. As we cut through all this stuff and all these nice little tweet things they decided to do in Heat 5. I do want to thank y'all for joining us, and I will see y'all in that next episode, everybody. So as always, stay safe, and well, y'all know how it goes by now, right? Later, y'all.